Oi, fala aí pessoal, bom dia. Você está escutando o Inglês no Rádio. I am your host, Foster Hodge. This is your daily dose of English. Hey, Alexia.
Hey,
So, how are you doing?
I'm fine. What about you?
I'm pretty good, you know?
Well, I think so.
So, today, obviously, we are using a lot of filler words because today we're talking about filler words. So, do you know what I'm talking about when I say filler words?
Well, I didn't know when you told me, like, oh, we are going to record a podcast about filler words. And I was like, But now I know, of course, and it makes sense. So, filler words are the words that mean nothing, and you use it to complete or to continue or to think about a phrase.
Exactly. So, essentially, these are meaningless. You can call them whatever you want. Technically, a lot of them are not words, but some people, there are different linguistic interpretations of what you should call them. I call them filler words because for me, they are filling the space when I just need a moment to think because I'm kind of stupid and I'm like, you know what I'm trying to say?
Or it's very important when you have a job interview.
It can be and it can't be. We will talk about that in a second. So, Alexia, can you think about, see, I'm saying it right now. It's literally impossible for me not to do it. Can you think about any words in Portuguese that you say all the time?
Então,
Então, tipo, tá.
tá uma filler words?
Yeah, I hear people when...
É tipo, tá.
Yeah, I
Deixa eu
remember when
pensar.
I was first learning Portuguese and I had no idea what people were talking about. I would just say, tá bom, tá então, tá. And everyone's like, caraca, seu português é muito bom.
It also could be for cariocas o cara.
Yeah.
Deixa eu pensar. And for paulistas, meu.
Yeah, more or less. So these are just words when you need a moment to think because it's weird in a normal conversation. If, imagine, we're having a normal conversation and I'm thinking, that's extremely weird, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what we do is we just make weird noises and say words that make no sense and have no meaning. So it's not awkward. Yeah, exactly. So today we're going to talk about some of the most common filler words in English. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I think we should start with the one that I use the most, which is so. So I think that I got this word from my dad. My dad does it a lot worse than me. My dad literally, and I am saying this literally, says so after every phrase. And the crazy thing is he does not notice that he does it, and my mom does not notice that he does it. But he always says, I'm like, hey, Dad, how was work? He's like, yeah, we were pretty busy today, so anyway, I get to play golf tomorrow, so... And he's not saying anything with so. Like, so what? What do you...
Yeah.
But he says it.
Never knew that about
That's
your
the
dad.
crazy thing about filler words is they are so common that we don't even notice them sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. So filler word number 1, so. I think the easiest translation for this would be então. You know? Então. Something like that. Yeah. Okay. So now let's talk about some words that technically aren't words, but they are super common in English, at least in American English, but I think in all varieties of English. which are things like uh. Do you understand what these are?
Yes, of course. We had the same in Portuguese.
What do you say in Portuguese?
Mm,
Yeah.
eh,
A lot of times in Portuguese,
or like,
I hear tipo, deixa eu pensar, cara. And if you can just change that to a
hmm
it makes you sound a lot more natural, a lot more native. Yeah?
Yeah.
And also, and that is a great way to practice usando, because that is exactly the sound.
I
Just the
already
laziest sound in English.
I already make this sound here. When I'm inside of a restaurant. So like, ma'am, what do you want? I think I'm gonna want this one.
Yeah, you're doing that. Doing it great. What do you want? So I'm already doing this when I'm here. You have it perfectly. So another filler word that everyone uses, but maybe it has the stereotype of like teenage girls in California or something. Like.
Ha.
Exactly.
I have a lot of students who say like.
Yeah, like, so I'm trying to learn Portuguese, like, but it's so hard because you have all these words,
Yes.
like, we don't really know.
Which would be our tipo.
Yeah, like, is tipo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tipo, porque não é tipo, tarana, tipo. Ah! Enough with the tipo.
Yeah. So I think there's a certain type of person that we have this stereotype with, I imagine, I'm thinking like,
California
you know,
girls.
like, é tipo, eu estava saindo com ela e tipo...
No, I don't see Barrenses doing that
I have
because
nothing
it's
against
super
Bahansis.
bairrista amor.
No, I'm just saying normally like a young,
Yes, I see
probably
young
like a young
people.
rich girl.
No, young people.
Yeah. When I think about people that say like all the time, I'm thinking about a young blonde teenage girl who's like, oh my God, Becky, look at her
Are you
butt.
seriously? I know. Are you serious? I mean.
Exactly. That leads us to our next filler word. Great job, Alexia. Perfect segue. I mean.
I mean.
I mean. So when we say I mean, the way I translate it is like, here's you.
Yeah. I really, really do like I mean. I think it's my favorite.
Yeah. Normally I use I mean when I'm just trying to
make an argument.
Maybe just kind of make my point again or re-emphasize my point. So for example, this is a stupid example, but I really love pizza. I mean, pizza is like my favorite food. I mean, pizza is so good.
Yeah.
You're saying the same thing over and over again. So that takes us to our next filler word.
You know. You use it a lot.
Yeah. And I think you have this in Portuguese as well.
Você sabe.
Sabe. Yeah, exactly. So in general, good Lord, this is driving me crazy just hearing myself say these words over and over again. But
it could be like entendeu as well.
Entendeu, yeah. Or, yeah, great example. So is normally at the end of a phrase, and you're not actually asking a person, like, do you know that? It's just more like, yeah, you agree with me? Kind of like, nah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And some people take this a step farther and they say, you know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember what episode or what interview, but one of the episodes in our worksheets, I was talking to one of our guests and they said, you know what I'm saying? All the time.
I think it was Gringolingo.
Nah, I'm pretty sure it's Tony Marsh. I just didn't want to say his name.
Really?
Yeah. Oh. Not a bad thing, Tony. Not a bad thing at all. Okay, so a couple more filler words just to finish here. Let me think. Well,
this was the filler word that I had to learn when I was studying English back in the days.
Yeah, and honestly, I think people teach this too much. because in my everyday language, I'm not like,
No, you don't say well at all.
yeah, it's more like, well, we could do this or we could do that, but that's when I have two options. I don't just say well for no reason, you know?
No, you don't.
You know?
Yeah. I had to learn.
It's
It's hard.
very hard.
I had to learn when I had a presentation to make,
Mhm.
and every time a Canadian teacher, he used to say to me, Francesco, it's his birthday today. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And he was like, Alexia, if you had to think about it, no problem at all, but you had to fill the gap. So say it always. Well, let me think about it. And that's it.
Yeah. But when you were just saying that, you said, well, so I think so is a little
I
bit more
was 14
in
years
fashion
old.
nowadays. Yeah, I think well is kind of for older people, maybe.
Yeah. And it was a presentation. It was really formal. So
Yeah. So that is the last point I want to make. Alexia, do you
see, I
think?
did so.
I know, I heard you. People are going to probably go crazy listening to this episode. Do you think filler words are a good or bad thing?
It depends the way you use it. If you use it a
Depends
lot,
on.
it depends on the way you use it. If you use it a lot, it's horrible
Yeah.
because it will be like saying every single time.
Yeah. So most.
And it's a mania de linguagem.
You could say that. Yeah. I think most language teachers, like traditional language teachers, will tell you to avoid filler words just because it sounds bad if you're saying, like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, and you're not saying anything. It's just incomprehensible speaking. But in everyday conversation, we do it all the time.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, you're just going to be sitting there in silence, and that's a lot weirder. So I think it's a good thing most of the time.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I agree that in presentations or very formal conversations, you probably want to not avoid them, but limit their use. So I always remember this in school that people would count the amount of time someone would say, And I remember I gave a presentation in business school, and one of my friends was like, you said 47 times.
Wow.
And I was like, you're an asshole. For example, imagine in a very formal speech, like a presidential speech, imagine Martin Luther King. Remember his famous speech, I have a dream. I have a dream that my 4 little kids will live in a nation where the color of their skin does not matter and they would be judged on the content of their character. Imagine that speech if he said, like, I have a dream,
I mean,
you know what I'm saying? In that context, yeah, they're really bad. But in normal everyday speech, they make you sound a lot more natural, and they just give you a little extra moment to think about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, our advice today is think about some filler words that you're comfortable with and try to start incorporating them in your everyday speech.
And use it well. Do not use that much, but just be natural.
Yeah, like I mean just like just so you know what I'm saying? Just yeah, like see you guys tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.